So, I live way out in the middle of nowhere, but some German company just bought, like, they didn't just buy it, they've had it for a minute, but 1,500 acres all around my area where they just completely clear cut it and they're building a solar project. And I was driving by this morning looking at it, and it's all, they've all flattened it out and brought in fill dirt and done whatever it is, dirt work that they do, and there's a giant fence around it and all this equipment. I was like, I could just take a picture of that shit and say, look, they're building camps over here, and a bunch of people would buy it. And that got me thinking about, we are now hearing stories of Australia building COVID isolation centers, which are camps. And one of my friends in Australia that's corresponding with me about our situation is telling me that they plan on going and doing some research on that and trying to get the word out about that camp, and exposing what's going on. And I'm thinking, as an American, to give you some context, if you're from Australia and you've not followed our politics, at least on the fringes of our politics that concern the people that are more liberty-minded, let's say, there for years, as long as I can remember, at least for almost 25 years, there's always been rumors of the government is building some sort of facility with which to relocate people to, like we did in World War II in the United States with the Japanese. So it's not like unfathomable, because it's happened within people's lifetimes, and there's still people alive that were in the camps in Europe. So it's not completely unfathomable to think that could happen. But where I'm going with this is, over here, at least for me, I've heard it wolf cried so many times on that they're building camps thing, that when I heard it in Australia, I was just like, okay, is this another psyop? But it certainly appears, from what I have seen, like it is a public program, and it's simply, if you say it's for COVID, anything could be done. I mean, if you recall, that the Chinese were saying we need to put a cotton swab up your rectum, because it's the only way to tell if you have the super communicable disease. And people went along with it because it was for COVID. You've gone along with it. Can't go to church, can't congregate, can't do anything, give up all of our rights. Well, it's for COVID. And this gets you thinking, fuck, what if there was a serious, like, if there was, imagine, like, okay, especially with Australia, like, prior to, in the old world, back before we knew what we know now, if there was a threat, like, there's crocodiles have become fully sentient and aware and highly intelligent, and they're now, like, using hand tools and, like, plotting against the humans in Australia. I would figure the Australians would be like, well, she'll be right. Gotta watch out for the crocodiles when you're swinging a hammer at you. Like, that's what I would have thought Australia's reaction would be, as well. We're used to shit that can kill us, so that's mind-boggling. You go to the beach and step on some shit and you'll die. Y'all are like, well, she'll be right. But then it's like, oh my God, a cold virus. It's mind-boggling. And I guess it's just like humans adapt to danger the same way humans are now adapting to oppression. I think it was, I forget who it was it Franklin or Jefferson, or, it's the famous quote that your society will end up being tyrannized as much as you'll allow it. You'll get as much oppression as you'll put up with, to paraphrase. And they just use the slow frog boiling in the pot method, and no one realizes it's getting a degree warmer every 2 minutes until we die. And it's that mixed with the crabs in a bucket analogy. If you've not heard that, it's like if you have a bunch of crabs or crabs in a bucket, and one of them starts climbing out, the other ones will pull it back in. I don't know why, but that's a expression that I've heard, or whatever. Maybe it's not an expression, it's some other literary fucking device. I don't know, mechanic. But yeah, that even happened to me in Texas. I was at the Home Depot, which is like a giant commercial hardware store, and I did not have a mask on. And I was at the self-checkout, like where there's not even people involved, and I was buying a thing, and some dude comes up and loses his mind. Why isn't he wearing a mask? And I was just like, because I'm a fascist. That set him off a little bit. But the lady that was an employee at the store, she was apparently an American. She wasn't allowed to say anything. She's like, sir, please just, And he just went on and on about how, it's people like me that... It's that whole mentality we're all dealing with. It's you. The fact that you are not doing something is why I'm unhealthy. Which would make more sense if the shot that they give you prevented transmission of the disease, which it does not. So to me, I'm out. Sorry. Doesn't matter how much sympathy or how much, what would you call that? How much trauma they would show you to get you to empathize and give in with the collective. I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm not giving in on that. But that was like, it wasn't, hey sir, you need to be wearing a mask because you may get sick and I'm concerned with you. It was, why the fuck does he not have to wear a mask? That's what made me think of that guy, because when he came up, he's like, why the fuck isn't he having to wear a mask? Like he was like, it was as if he was saying that to like the employee at the store who's probably getting, $16.50 an hour if they're, lucky now, who doesn't give a shit, who just wants people to go through there and get the products purchased and paid for and out. And this guy's flipping out on her because it's like he's a child running to what he sees as a teacher or an authority figure. Why aren't you making him wear a mask? You're in a store. You have the power. Never mind that, our governor said that no law enforcement entity within the government can force you to do that. Therefore, in my head, okay, if this store can't call the cops on me to make me do it, then they can't make me do it either. That's how my rebellious American spirit looks at it. Who's the highest up on the ladder that's going to come down on me? Do they have the monopoly of force like the government does with the firearms? If they don't, the governor said, no, we're not enforcing that shit. That's why the shit that I saw in Australia with the lady with the two cops on her back with their knees into her back just really pissed me off. And I was arguing with some dickhead on Twitter about it. I think I put that in a video. I can't remember if I did or not. But it was over a mask. And to me, that a public health suggestion is not worth. I mean, look how much money we spend on people dying of smoking cigarettes. Hell, I love cigarettes. I try not to smoke them, but I mean, there's a lot of people that do use them, and it costs the taxpayer tons of money and all kinds of burden. They don't give a fuck if you smoke. That's probably one of the essential things you're allowed to do is go to the liquor store so they can keep you sedated. I mean, think of this bullshit. This is all just population management. If we were really that concerned with public health, okay, well, no one's allowed to eat fucking saturated fats and sugars and all that. But what's funny though is I think people would flip out more if they weren't allowed to have junk food and were forced to eat healthy than if you told them they can't go to work, can't go to church, can't congregate, can't talk to anybody. And all information and data they get is filtered through the system through all these fucking private corporations that don't have to abide by the Constitution. They're more upset about if you told them they couldn't have fucking cream cheese or a dilly bar. See if you're in Australia, see if you know what a dilly bar is. Maybe it's like a Tim Tam. I have no idea what a Tim Tam is. Probably put it in your tum tum. But anyway, people were more upset about they can't have their fucking food pellets than if you said we're gonna fucking slowly subjugate your fucking, we're just gonna crush you. Okay, well I'm okay with that. Just make sure I get my fucking cheeseburger. So yes, I've experienced those people here too. It's probably not as bad as there. But man, it looks like y'all got some fucking Fruit Loops down there. mean, we're gonna force you to get. What my buddy was telling me from Australia is now it's like if you work anywhere inside of an office building, like I guess even if you just come in to like fix the copier, you gotta have. I mean, this is bullshit. This is bullshit, man. It's to the point where everybody, you need to start calling bullshit on the fucking satanic insemination they're giving you. It's time to start calling bullshit. The guy that invented the technology is telling you, and I'm going to be very conservative with the claims I make because I don't have it in front of me, but he's essentially saying this may be a mistake. Okay? You have a former head top person of some status at Pfizer. I can't remember exactly what his official title was, but Yeaton, I think is his last name. He's saying, at a minimum, he's at least saying, bro, we need to chill out and look at this. See, where you fuck up is you watch some shit where the guy that invented it says it's going to kill everybody that took it. No, don't say that, because then if it doesn't happen, you look like a dumbass and people won't believe anything anymore. What you need to say is, bro, red alert, like, hey man, I don't even pay that much attention, but all these people involved, like let's say a bunch of Ford F-350 Super Duties were blowing up on the fucking highway every day. Let's take it out of this mental illness because it's medical that we can't think straight. What if every other Ford F-350 Super Duty was catching on fire every couple of weeks to the point that it was like, you know, people like me that had to drive them for work were like out in front of their jobs protesting, like, don't make me drive this deadly ass truck. And then a bunch of guys that previously designed the truck were electrical engineers for Ford Motor Company and for fucking all the companies that make the other subsystems and chips, and they were all coming out and saying, dude, the fucking 2021 Ford F-350s are all catching on fire because there's deficiencies in these chips, and here's all these charts we can show you, and there's these fucking relays that are supposed to operate at so many amps, but really like they can't handle it, but the fuses won't blow because they don't recognize the problems there because the amperage load's too low, and it's melting this other bullshit, which then causes these problems, and here's all the fucking proof of it. And then everybody in the news media is like, those guys that engineered the 2021 Ford F-350 electrical system don't know what they're talking about. You need to listen to the transportation secretary about that. And the way we're going to fix it is nobody's allowed to drive. Even if you don't own a Ford F-350 Super Duty, there may be some problems with the Ford F-350 Super Duty that are stored in the firmware, and that might accidentally get transferred to the modems in the fucking Yukon Denali because they use the same chips made in this country that we're about to let the Chinese Communist Party take over, by the way. And the people on TV just said, don't listen to that, keep driving your fucking car, you know, but only when we tell you. It's just so stupid. We need to call bullshit on it, okay? They act like if you're not one of these fucking white lab coat priests in the new fucking power cult, the priest class, that you don't have common sense. Since when has a government's reaction to a public outbreak been to tell everybody and make a big deal about it? Let's get real, bud. I'm sure all kinds of wild shits happen. We know they've experimented on the public. We know they've released gas into subway systems to see what it would do. Like, all that shit is known, and if you give a fuck, you can go find it. But be aware when you go look for stuff, there's always going to be something that pops up from the system that says, this specific random thing that you're looking for is just a conspiracy theory. That should clue you in eventually. Man, I gotta go to Cisco and fix a fucking airbag. What else? Some other stupid shit. But yeah, for real, dude. What everybody needs to do, instead of constantly being distracted by the daily swipe of fear porn and oh my god, what I would suggest everybody do is spend some fucking time and go and actually research to the point that you can retain the right names, the right numbers, the right scenarios of different key things that have happened in this fucking line of bullshit, like death numbers and all that bullshit, and doctors and what their credentials are and what their websites are. Not, oh, I saw it on TikTok, I can't find it anymore. Go learn these motherfuckers' names and go make a fucking cheat sheet like you're in high school. know what's fucked up is like kids now don't even know what normal high school is like. You know how fucked up that is for kids? That's like the main formative years of your life. Like, I mean, imagine if you turned, the driving age isn't even 16 anymore, but like when I was driving, it was 16. I'm trying to imagine, like, okay, you just got your driver's license, you finally were able to buy a truck, but you can't go anywhere, you can't go to school, you can't have all those years of, like, kids that have been locked in their house from like fucking most of their high school years are going to be fucked up. It's not to say they won't, like, eventually adjust, but, like, for example, even on a much more micro level, one of the first girlfriends I had in high school had gone to a private school up until high school. So she didn't have the social development of normal. That's probably the only benefit to public school. Like, everything they tell your kid, garbage, poison. But at least being around other kids, even though you're in a government training center, it's good interaction. So we've got to figure out how to replace all these things too. But she had some quirks. And these kids that have been locked up in the house were like, bro, when you're that age, you don't want to be around your parents that much. And bro, your parents don't want to be around you that much. They need a break too. I don't even have kids, but I was one. And at least I know that. Especially by the time that they're like that age, and all they want to do is disobey you and go chase pussy. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad, bad, bad. Like, it's time to call bullshit on all of this. You know, if you're in the United States and you're scared of looking like a mental case, dude, look at what they've done to us. Look at what they have done to us. It is time for regular people, like my boss, to the point where he wants me. I made him the media is lying T-shirt. My wife did, because it's like regular people need to wake the fuck up, dog. If you watch that long, email me at carlitosburritos@protonmail.com with a capital Carlito C, and then the rest is Arlitos Burritos normal. And maybe I can get you one of them T-shirts too. But I don't want to be one of those fucking people that's like, hey man, I sell Teespring hats and shirts and belt buckles and fucking underwear because I don't, nah, dude. I might make my money with these. But I'll make you a shirt if you've watched this video this long. Carlitos Burritos@protonmail.com.